He's part of the UPA's dream team, one of the key economic architects of this government. Our guest today on the show, Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Deputy Chairperson of the Planning Commission. Thanks very much, Dr. Ahluwalia, for being with us here on the show.
Nice to be here.
A second term for the UPA, obviously an unfinished agenda. But how different is the economic agenda from the last 5 years?
Well, I think the economic agenda builds on the successes of the last 5 years and it sort of expands beyond them. It's all laid out in the President's address.
Right.
And it's an agenda that emphasizes the importance of getting back to high growth, which is what is going to fund a lot of our social sector schemes. It also emphasizes the whole inclusion aspect. I mean, we're not simply about growth, we're about a growth process that is inclusive.
In general, the big buzzwords that are being talked about right now, when you look at the economic philosophy of the UPA, disinvestment, privatization, liberalization, are we back to taking all these forward?
Well, you know, these buzzwords, I don't know where they come from. Disinvestment has certainly been mentioned.
Right.
But we are going to do a disinvestment up to 51%, as the President's address makes out. You know, the term liberalization is also very vague.
Right.
We definitely want to create an environment in which industry is given a competitive environment with the flexibility to compete. If you want to call that liberalization, that's exactly what we're going to do.
One distinct difference from the last term and this term is the absence of the communist allies. And that clearly brings with it the hope that at least people will not see a repeat of what we saw in the last 5 years in the sense of Congress trying to appease its allies and not take its reform agenda forward.
Well, I wouldn't want to speculate on what the political compulsions are because of the changed structure. And the most important thing is that the second UPA has a much, much larger, near complete Congress domination.
Right.
Now, this doesn't mean, by the way, that issues of whether you want to go one way or another disappear, because actually even within every party, there are different points of view. And I mean, we're a democratic country which builds consensus all the time. And you know, the Prime Minister, in responding to the President's address, although he has a much larger number of MPs, did talk about building consensus.
And consensus building will be easier this time around. That's something you agree?
I would hope so. Yes, I would hope so.
And in that sense, that's why we do hope that issues like this investment will find favor politically as well.
Well, that is why they're there in the President's address. I mean, you know, I like to think that we shouldn't hang everything on the one or two things which maybe in the international financial world are seen as critical.
Right.
I mean, we have a much broader range agenda. I mean, for example, bringing in public-private partnership into infrastructure can trigger a huge amount of money into key infrastructure. Suppose for some reason you felt that this part of the program was going wonderfully, but disinvestment got a little bit delayed because of some political hassle. Is that something to worry about hugely? Probably not.
In that sense, there are already some so-called anti-reform, or should we say anti-disinvestment noises as far as the allies are concerned. Is that a reason to worry about?
No, I wouldn't say so, but I think, you know, different political parties have different perceptions. It's perfectly possible for a party to say that, look, you know, we have reservations on this. That doesn't mean that the government can't go ahead. That's something which the government has to manage internally, and I hope they will.